Hey guys, so this is going to be a hero guide for Drek Thar. He has a really interesting hero power where it's Avenge 2. It gives all of the minions on your board +1 attack. So the way I like to utilize him is to try and pick up units in the early game that will still have some late game utility. Generally, he plays really well as a top 4 hero, but it's a bit harder for you to actually win a lobby with him. The reason being is he just doesn't have a lot of long-term value, and a lot of his power is in this early game uh, stat buffs. Because getting one attack a lot of times on multiple units is going to be just a lot of insane early tempo. The lobby that you're trying to find with him is a lobby that has a lot of summoning tribes and a lot of divine shield tribes. Ideally, I try to find undead and mechs just because those are the best when it comes to having divine shields really early in the game and summoning units early in the game. But other tribes have some pretty good synergy with them as well. Beasts are also a pretty good at just summoning units, especially on the lower tavern tiers. Murloc's Lock Prince is actually completely broken with him because it gets an extra stat buff off of the attack scaling, and also is just another generic Divine Shield tribe with him. Pirates have a couple of good units. One is they have a summoning unit on Tavern Tier 1. Defiant Shipwright also does really well with his hero power. And then just generically, there's Blade Collector a little bit later on to start scaling a really big attack cleave early in the game. And then finally, the other good tribe that you can kind of lean with him is Elementals. There's a couple of Divine Shields, especially early. Generally, the tribes I try to avoid with them is one, demons. Mainly because one, you can't really utilize demons, and two, if you're going against demons, they're generally just going to be able to outstat whatever you do. Nagas are another one that I generally try to avoid for a similar reason. They're able to get as many divine shields and utility in the late game, and they're gonna probably get more stats than you. But the issue is you can't really play Nagas with them because you don't get your divine shield units until later in the game. Kind of similar thing, dragons, just you don't have the ability to get you divine shields and play them yourself until later in the game. And um, when you go against dragons, if they have a keychain scaling, they're gonna out keychain stat you. You can probably kind of beat the divine shield scam dragons, but that's about it. And then similarly, Quillbores, they're generally just they don't have a good divine shield. Tough Tusk is too unreliable with this, and just Quillbores are kind of just going to outsell you if they hit. For leveling, I generally try to do a normal Tavern tier up through Tavern tier 3, even to Tavern tier 4 on turn 7. It's pretty consistent. Really, just he has the same play style to all the other heroes where you're going to want to try to hold a pair and find a triple that you can triple into a 6. Um, However, the thing with him is you kind of want to always lean into a Divine Shield scam comp with him. That's kind of going to be your default build if you don't hit anything, and it's a very consistent top 4. I'll show you my stats. I've been doing pretty well with him in the. I think I've only gotten him a couple times just because he is very lobby dependent. But whenever I do pick him, it is a very consistent top 4. Trinkets are also pretty important when playing him, mainly just because of how unique his hero power is. Really, all the compasses are going to be a little bit better on him because he has no real value from his hero power in terms of gold generation. You're generally going to be trying to just tavern tier up pretty quickly with him. So having the gold income from compass is going to be a little bit more effective on him. Generally, all the portraits are going to be pretty similar on him, with the exception of the Eternal Knight portrait. I think it's a little bit better with him because it's a Divine Shield taunt good unit, so it's going to be able to consistently proc your other minions while also scaling an Eternal Knight. I would still only wait to have the Eternal Knight on your board before you pick it, but it's a little bit stronger with him. Bleeding Heart's kind of similar, where it allows you to proc your hero power a couple extra times and just give you some extra stats earlier. Charging Staff, I actually really like on him. It just you're going to be playing a bunch of Divine Shields, so it gets a little bit extra stats that way. Any of the undead attack buffs are going to be pretty good with him because generally in the early game they'll give you a lot of tempo while you try to find your like better minions. So these would be something like the Urn or Windrunner's Necklace or Staff of the Scourge. They really just give you some extra utility out of the undead units you're going to be playing. Blingtron Sunglasses is also going to be a um, pretty good like trinket to pick up, mainly because you're pretty consistently going to be getting some like summons off, and with those you can kind of reapply Divine Shield onto the minions you've already played. Big thing here is just try to find some like reborn units to play on your Divine Shield so they come back with Divine Shield, and then that lets them reapply. Otherwise, really, any good tempo trinket will be decent. I guess the only other one worth calling out is something like Tiger Carving. Like I said, like you're going to be playing a bunch of these minions that kind of last longer than normal. Like it's very consistent that you'll find like your one drop Divine Shield mechs end up on your late game board just because they've been doing so much scaling. So something like Tiger Carving or anything that just gives you a little bit of extra value from these units that you play long term can be pretty good. But like everyone else, kind of lean into the tempo trinkets. And then finally, greater trinkets. Still, for greater trinkets, I think compasses are still reasonable for the same reason that, you're not going to have the gold generation, so they kind of provide that and can help you triple a couple units. Reinforced shield, I really like as a tempo um, trinket with him because you can keep those minions that you've been buffing the entire game, you get a couple procs off of them. The only thing I don't like is you end up kind of forcing yourself to just have one big taunt with this, and you can't really pick up taunts later. But it ends up being really good tempo, and really, again, the whole playstyle is you're kind of just trying to top four, and anything more than that is just good. Charging Staff is a really good greater trinket. Just you're going to be playing a lot of Divine Shields, and the greater one just gives you a lot of like extra scaling, and also kind of helps you lean into the mechs that you're probably going to start trying to pick up some of the like end of turn mech cards. And then finally, just for your last couple of greater trinkets, like play into the 6 drops if you find them, and then kind of default play that mech undead comp that we've been kind of talking about. That kind of goes into what are the different like late game comps you should probably try to lean. Um, Generally, my assumption is you're going to get to Tavern Tier 4 with a bunch of Divine Shields and possibly some undead units to be buffing those Divine Shields. So there's kind of two comps that you can naturally transition from there. The first would be something like the Serena Divine Shield comp, and that's kind of what was going on in the background is you end up playing a Serena, you pick up a bunch of spells. If you find a Whirl-O-Matic, this can be a really strong comp, but it just gives you some extra payoff for the minions that you've already been buffing, gives them even more stats. And generally from this, you'll want to eventually transition into a beatboxer. That's again what I do in the game in the background, but it's a little bit harder just because you don't have that magnetic generation going on, and if you don't find it, it's just kind of hard to get a beatboxer going. The other option on Tavern Tier 4 is depending on the 4 drops you find, if you can find the key 4 drop undeads to get your like reborns and attack scaling going, I think it's pretty reasonable to play attack buff undead from where you're at. Again, like it's not gonna be your like win the lobby card, but attack scaling undeads are pretty reasonable at this whole like just get a top four mentality. Again though, like you'll still want to just if you don't find like the good ones, it's better to play into your 6 drops, and if you find something like a really good enabling card, just play that way. And then you can also just like go with the default menagerie comps. Really, like a lot of it's because you're gonna have these good units from the undead and mechs kind of naturally. You'll be able to reasonably transition into a menagerie comp going into the late game. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the game in the background. Ended up being a really fun game where I kind of utilized a lot of these is where I was leaning a couple of the different strats we talked about, mentioned doing the transition from just early game tempo into Serena, and then eventually transitioning into beatboxer, and that allowed me to compete in stats. Really ended up getting the top four very easily, and then it was a true fight for the top, top of the lobby. And that just is the entire playstyle here, and I mean that very firmly. Like this is how you play him. You don't play him to win a lobby. You play him to top four and potentially just scam a couple other placements from there. So yeah. Anyways, hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned something. I've really enjoyed the content coming out. If this helped you, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment and tell me something that you want to see. I'm kind of trying to make a little bit of a series out of just kind of explaining how to play the different heroes as they come out. And a lot of them are just very good, consistent heroes like him. Drek Thar is, like I said, a very good, consistent hero. I think if you're not playing him this way, you're going to be throwing away MMR. And, I just hope this is something that helps you guys on your climb. So good luck out there. See y'all. Bye.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I want to visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I want to visit. Are you alive? Flashing red lights, driving at night, windowless ride, feeling alive. Nothing in sight, forever in flight. Follow those lines, we'll make it this time. Blurry street lights, work as a guide to memories that we're making tonight. Oh yeah, we'll make it tonight. Yeah. I'll do anything that I feel like I wanna do. I'm living life like I got nothing left to prove. No end in sight, just always staying on the move. I'll go all night if that's just what I gotta. Life's too short to care about what you can't afford. Memories are in what you explore, so just don't be ignored. Go ask for more, go ask for more. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? I'm in a race that everybody's chasing fast. They wanna be that someone on the screen at last. They ain't looking inside for their needs in life. They wanna be liked by everybody in sight. But trust me, being free ain't spotlights. No, it's long nights and it's long fights with yourself all the time to get your mind right. But if you put in the work, you can find the light, alright? I'll do anything that I feel like I want.